Oh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. Hold on, Chris is hitting something.
Yeah, Chris is hitting things.
Fucking hell! That's because things just break immediately when we start the stream. What? It's really annoying. Your mic starts flashing as soon as we turn live.
Wow.
Our mics seem to be
Whoever mic
Full.
2 is.
Our mics are full here.
I don't care what you're saying. These are double battery wireless mics.
All right, I don't know why he's so angry today. Damn.
Yeah, he just seems to be on edge. Very
Yeah.
edgy.
All
Yeah,
day.
that's because they just.
All
I've been
day.
Up for 15
Literally
minutes.
since he woke up.
Yeah, since he woke up, you're right.
Yep.
So I guess let's start off with a 100-point show.
Okay. What's your 100-point show question?
I have that written down as
Our
I
background's so
do,
dark.
because it's a dark picture.
Damn. This is the darkest background we've ever had. I've never actually seen you guys have a background aura.
Well, at least it's not supposed to be green, but actually see-through, because apparently that's something that happens.
What? Oh.
Yeah, because sometimes if we have green in the background picture.
Is that a 100-point question? I love you. Just keep going.
All right. What is the most venomous rattlesnake in the world?
The
Black-
rattlesnake.
Black Mamba.
Yeah, black mamba. The viper constrictor. I don't know.
Wow.
The Viper Constrictor.
I'm sorry, both of those answers are incorrect.
Oh, dear.
The answer is the Mojave rattlesnake.
Oh, well, I never would have guessed that.
From the Mojave Desert.
I
I've
said
been there
rattlesnake.
I asked what's the most dangerous species
before.
of rattlesnake.
I just
Well, I
said,
got it half right.
Black Mambas aren't rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
You know, neither are viper
Constrictors.
constrictors,
Those
which
aren't
don't
anything.
exist.
Yeah.
Well, I guess no one gets the 100 points.
Yeah, no one.
But
What you got?
my question for you is, in the hit comedy film Kung Pao, the chosen one has a very special friend, which designates him as the chosen one. What is the name of the chosen one's special friend?
I'm gonna go with friend.
Ooh, I'm sorry. That is incorrect.
Is it Basil? Is it Basil?
Nope. His
Damn it.
name is Tonguey.
Tonguey.
Well, that's about as good as Basil.
Yeah, his friend is literally his tongue, except his tongue has eyes and a mouth of its own, and it can talk.
That's weird. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why he's the chosen one.
So
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
couple.
Oh, it's a ridiculous film.
That does sound ridiculous. So a couple things on announcements before we get into the readings. So you may have noticed that we were not around last week. A lot of stuff went wrong.
Well, not on my end.
Yeah.
For
okay.
once.
Well, a lot of stuff just went wrong.
Yeah, in general.
Yeah, Lawrence got like herpaganosyphilades or something.
Yeah, it only stays for a week though. That's the thing
Yeah.
about herpaganosyphilades.
He lost his voice.
Yeah, I was not in good condition. I could barely talk. It hurt to stand up actually.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was really not in good shape. And I was thinking, you know what? If I have Jim and Landon here, then maybe we can make it work. I'll just like point to stuff on this sheet. But then Jim missed his the bus, so he couldn't get here.
oh.
So that sucked. So really, just a bunch of stuff went wrong. So couldn't really do the show. That would have been a horrendous show. So
It would have just been me.
yeah, it would have.
Just me.
Yeah, and you don't want to hear Chris read the Bible.
Or our audience.
Would have been you and Landon.
Oh, yeah, last week?
Yeah.
Landon, no offense to Landon, he's a wonderful scientist, is a bit of a slower reader when it
So are
comes
you.
to these biblical things. And no, I'm not as slow if I actually decide to not give a shit how I say stuff. But then guess what? Whoops, we don't really know what we said, did we? No, because the names got butchered to the point where they weren't names.
All you have to do is look at the writing
And read it.
and read it. You don't. Like, if you just look at the first and last letter and guess about what's in the middle, then yeah, you're going to get it wrong.
I mean, no one does that. That's retarded. I'm guessing the whole thing.
That's even worse. You're
Yeah.
just
Based
guessing
off of everything? No, you read it and then you guess. I don't know. A lot of the times these names have multiple pronunciations that I
Sure.
would have never fucking guessed
It's
in the
not
first place.
just the names.
Yeah. Well,
Chris.
no, that's what I screw up primarily. Landon, I don't know. He screws up the names too. But
Okay, I
mean,
get
it's-
that.
it's mostly
Either way, it
names.
would not have been great.
No, it would
so,
have been horrible.
Well,
we
this
could not do
one
that.
makes it super easy because it has dashes between every single syllable. So I know it's ahasueros.
Well, that sounds fantastic, but that
Sounds
Jewish
horrible.
version I was reading did not do that.
Oh, well.
Not at all.
I mean, I could read that too. I mean, shit.
You wouldn't, though. That's not your version.
Yeah, because you guys told me explicitly that I had to read this version of
Yeah.
the Bible because
Enjoy.
it looks so fairy tale.
It does look like a fairy tale book.
Yeah, but it's the King James version,
I
which
know.
is
It does have
terrible.
dragons. And
But you get dashes, so you can pronounce your words.
I could pronounce the words anyway. It's
Well, it
not
helps.
difficult.
Okay, let's move on. So,
Your brain will like.
anyways, other announcements. I've now started on the Lilith script. I'm using about 40 sources. The source list is on Patreon, and it's obviously going to be in the video description as well. But I am now working on that. Boy, is there a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah.
We,
The occult Nazism video, I didn't get to work on it as much as I'd like to have at the beginning of this month. So it might take a little longer. But I could release it earlier, it just would be lower quality.
we don't like low quality on this channel.
Yeah, we don't
Even
like
though
low
we do this
quality.
show.
And this show is such low quality.
Yeah. So even though we do all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we also I gotta get in contact with Jim and Chris again about the Point Pyramid because I really want to get that done.
Eventually.
And we have the second because we have everything ready for it. Everything's set up for it.
We've had it for a week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just need to actually do it. And then we got a second weekly show coming up.
And what's our 666 drive up to?
Oh, that is at about 370. Has not moved,
Okay.
but that's okay.
We didn't have a show last week.
Yeah, we didn't have a show last week.
Well, that's still good.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's
Nothing
good.
wrong with that.
Nothing to complain about.
Yep, we're about halfway there.
Yep.
And in other news, our second weekly show probably will be starting at the beginning of Psalms.
Yeah, just to be a little more exciting than Psalms.
So to be clear, we're finishing Esther today.
Yes.
Then we're going into Job, and then after Job is Psalms, right?
Looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So once we get done with the next book after this episode, we will be starting a second weekly show. Now, what time of day and what day of the week are we doing it?
We thought Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday would be a good day, I think.
Yes, Friday is the day.
I don't know what time, but that's something. Well, I would like to hear from the fans what time they would want to watch that.
Yes. Any of you watching right now who would like to put forward some time suggestions, please do so. Otherwise, Lawrence will have it up in, I don't know, a poll somewhere.
I'll put a poll.
Okay.
Up for it, yeah. Anyways, so we are finishing up Esther today,
Yes.
and it is going to be chapters 8 through 10.
In addition to 2 editions.
Yes, in addition to 2 editions. Now, this is the part of the book where we start talking about Purim.
And did you celebrate Purim as a kid?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like
a Jewish
okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't the most exciting.
Probably would have been
holiday.
more exciting as adults because, like, you're encouraged to drink on Purim.
Yeah.
So probably would have been better. It's really the only religious event in which you
Should
have to get plastered.
Wow.
Well, there's Passover. Where
Well, you don't have to get plastered for Passover.
Oh, well, I mean, if you follow the rules, you're supposed to be drinking glass of wine after glass of wine after glass of wine through the Seder ceremony, so. But anyways, why don't we finish up the announcements and get into it?
Yeah, let's hop into it.
I have the King James Version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version of the Bible.
We also have the Hebrew Bible, a translation with commentary by Robert Alter.
And we have the Holy Scriptures, according to some Jews.
And we have the New King James Version of the Bible.
Yes, we also have the Old Testament Survey from the New Interpreter's Bible.
We also have the Oxford Companion to the Bible.
Yes, and we have Anthony Tomasino's Evangelical Exegetical Commentary on Esther. And it's really good. I recommend it.
All right.
Yeah. In
So,
fact, I'm going to be referencing it definitely throughout this show. So.
all right. Well, why don't you get this one open to where it needs to be?
Yes, absolutely.
And I will throw us right into chapter 8.
I just wanted to point one thing out. I have no idea how. When we were having audio issues, I just hit it. Just hit it real hard. It works now.
Wow, thanks, Fonz.
Yeah, I mean, we're in Wisconsin. I don't think that's how things are supposed to work everywhere, but it works here.
Why not?
Apparently.
Apparently. Yeah,
Magic.
like the batteries were flickering, and I'm like, I have no idea what's wrong with this, so I just hit it, and now it works. That's dumb. That shouldn't work.
That's
Anyways,
how technology works.
Fonz
let's
is
start off
cool.
with chapter 8.
I'm glad we're friends with the Fonz.
Yeah, right? Jeez.
On that day did the king Ahasuerus give to the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. So then the king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, If it please the king, and if I have found right favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall be done unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold!
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 I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews.
Well, I think it was because he laid his hand upon
Esther.
Yeah.
Yeah. Write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. That seems like a really
Stupid.
inconvenient and poor decision.
Yeah.
That no one can reverse it. What verse was that exactly?
That was verse 8.
Verse 8, okay. I'm actually trying to find that in here, verse 8. Right, King Xerxes, as usual, is unwilling to take any action personally. And, yeah.
Yep.
The use of the personal pronoun you, atem, here, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, here is redundant and certainly emphatic. The king is definitely washing his hands over the matter, delegating it to his queen and new prime minister. One frequently suggested explanation for his reluctance to be involved is that he does not want to be forced into a situation where he will be required to override his own orders. This explanation seems unlikely, however, since the king allows the decree to be written in his own name. A more likely scenario, it seems, is that he simply does not want to be bothered with the problem of reversing an irrevocable decree.
Yep.
I have noted several times that this Xerxes is unable to make a decision on his own, depending on his counselors and even his attendants, as in 7:9, to help determine his course of action. And a scholar named Berlin, I don't see a first name anywhere, further observes that Esther and Mordecai are cast fully in the role of the heroes, of course. It is they who deliver the Jews, not the Persian king, which is so different from what we have seen throughout, like, for example, in Ezra and Nehemiah.
Mm-hmm.
So although they, the Persians weren't really seen in the best regard because you couldn't mate with them, they were, however, seen to be very helpful because they did,
Helpful stuff. Helpful
Right.
shit.
yeah, they did helpful stuff.
Yeah. All right. Is that all you wanted to read from there?
For now.
Okay. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is, the month Sivan, and on the
Here's
3 and
something here.
20th day thereof.
There it is.
The counter decree is issued 2 months and 10 days after Haman's decree had been issued. The month of Sivan is mentioned only here in the Old Testament. The Babylonian month names were adopted by the Jews during the Babylonian exile.
Okay. Good to know.
Yes. You're welcome, world.
Yep. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews and to the lieutenants and the deputies and rulers of the provinces which are from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing and according to their language. I think that's the first time that we had mention of India.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hold
yeah.
on. What?
Holy crap.
I'm looking for that in this. Oh, here it is. Okay. So that is in verse 9. Okay. I'm
Yes.
actually looking in here for India to see if there's any note on India.
Yeah, because the religions in India are very different.
Yeah, I mean that would be the extent of the Persian Empire from India. But I'm trying to find something specific here. And I can't even find the word India in here,
Sweet.
Wow.
which is strange.
It is, because I don't think I've seen it before, and...
It's in your version.
I mean,
At least, yeah.
yeah, it's in both these versions.
It is. Well, this isn't the translation. This is the that's something else.
Is it in the altar version?
Oh yeah, here we go. From India to Kush. As at the beginning of the book, we are reminded of the vastness of the empire. That's literally all he says about it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. But it gives the same amount of provinces, so it holds up. It's fine.
All right. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by posts on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries, wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and provinces that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. Upon one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely, upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar. And after this verse,
Yes.
before we finish the chapter, there's an addition that Lawrence will read.
Yes, there is.
It's nice that they just threw that in between some verses.
Is this our last edition?
No, there's an epilogue too.
Yeah,
at the
there
end.
is one at the very end. I mean, chapter 10 is just so short that it's kind of nice that there's
Yeah.
some more to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that'd be a silly reading.
Yeah, chapter 10 is only 3 verses.
Yeah. So this is edition E, and this was one of the 2 that was originally composed in Greek. And this is an edict issued by Mordecai.
Wasn't the last one that was composed in Greek also something that Mordecai did?
It was there was a long prayer.
Yeah, Mordecai's prayer.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, they were trying to make Mordecai a bigger character in the story, probably.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, definitely. And I am looking in here for something about the significance of the month. Okay. For the significance of the 13th day of the 12th month, see the commentary on Esther 3:7. I don't know if you want to go look for Esther 3:7, but I do remember that coming up at some point, actually. The month of Adar. I remember that.
Yeah.
Let's get into edition E from the Septuagint. What is written below is a copy of the letter. The great King Artaxerxes to the rulers of the lands from India to Ethiopia, the 127 satrapies, and to those who are loyal in our interests, greetings! Many people who are frequently honored with the greatest kindness of their benefactors become the more ambitious and only seek to harm those subject to us, but not being able to deal with prosperity, they even undertake to scheme against their own benefactors. They do not only abolish gratitude from among people, but also carried away by the boasts of those who are inexperienced in goodness. They even presume to escape the evil-hating divine justice, who always observes everything. So this is obviously one of the pieces that makes the Septuagint version so religious in comparison to the non-Septuagint version.
Which is secular as hell.
Yeah. There's the word God appears nowhere in there, although you kind of have to assume that God made everything happen.
It's an assumption, though.
It's a
It's
Bible.
not laid out in the text.
Yeah. Furthermore, many times, encouragement has implicated many of those appointed to places of authority, those entrusted to administer the affairs of friends, making them partly responsible for the shedding of innocent blood, and has brought about irredeemable calamities by the malicious lie of an evil disposition of people who misconstrue the sincere goodwill of their sovereigns. Okay. I'm not sure who this is supposed to be referring to. This could really go either way. Anyways, and it is possible to see this not so much from the more ancient records as we handed them down, as it is right at your feet when you examine things impiously perpetrated by the pestilent behavior of those who hold power unworthily. And it is possible to look out hereafter in order that we may render the kingdom quiet for all people with peace, utilizing changes and always discerning what comes to our attention with a rather considerate response. For whereas Haman, son of Hamadathos, a Macedonian who was in truth a foreigner to the blood of the Persians and quite devoid of our kindness. Didn't we get a different name for the father of Haman? Like not even
the
that long?
son of
Oh, it just says-
Hamadatha, the Agagite.
Okay.
So here on the 13th day of the 12th month, it has to do with the system of casting lots, and also that the 13th day of the month was considered unlucky to the Babylonians and Persians.
Interesting.
It
That's
says
not that far from
yeah.
Friday the 13th.
So it says
Oh,
he
how things change.
chose the that Haman had cast lots in chapter 3, or I think in chapter 3.
I remember him casting lots. Yeah.
And so he cast lots, and it says here, because of the selection of the lot, 11 months would have to pass between the issuing of the proclamation and the time of its enactment. This would have been the latest possible date that the lot could have chosen, since they were casting to select months, not years. The 13th day was considered unlucky. It is almost as if fate itself were balking at the notion of the Jewish genocide.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Almost as if fate itself was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a little bit planned by a writer.
Yeah.
Poor God.
No, this was.
Fate.
Yep.
Some other thing. A third faction.
Anyways.
I mean, it's as fateful as Perseus getting his mirror shield to beat Medusa, right?
Exactly as faithful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, for whereas Haman, son of Hamadathos, when he was entertained by us as our guest, obtained the goodwill that we have for every nation to such extent that he was publicly proclaimed our father and was continually done obeisance for all, by all as the person second to the royal throne. I don't remember him ever being described as that. Quite that.
Haman?
Yeah, I remember him.
Well, he said that he was given power by the king greater than even the princes.
Did he?
Yeah, I remember that distinctly. When he went to, I think it was when he went to his family and he was like bragging about how cool he is. And,
Oh, yeah.
like shitting all over Mordecai.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Okay. Anyways.
And now, presumably, Mordecai has his political position because he's been given his ring, and one of them was given dominion over Haman's house. So that would make them the...
And that was the last thing they wanted to happen.
Yeah.
Where was I here? But being unable to restrain his arrogance, he made it his business to deprive us of our rule and our breath, and by the crafty deceit of ruses asked to destroy Mordecai, our savior and constant benefactor, and Esther, the innocent companion of our kingdom, together with their whole nation. For when by these methods he had caught us undefended, he thought that he would transfer the power of the Persians to the Macedonians. But we find that the Judeans, who were co-signed to annihilation by this thrice accursed man, are not criminals, but are governed by most righteous laws. I highly doubt the Persian king would say anything like that.
Yeah, put words in his mouth, please.
And are children of the Most High, Most Great Living God. Okay, nope.
No.
Who has directed the kingdom for us and for our ancestors in the most excellent order. Also, big nope.
No.
Sorry. A Persian king would not say that in a million fucking years. You will therefore do well not to carry out the letters sent by Haman, son of Hamadathos, because he who did these things has been crucified at the gates of Susa. And there's a distinction to be made between being crucified and just being hung, though it's probably hung, from what I can tell from Alter and Tomasino.
Not impaled?
Oh yeah, you're right, impaled.
Yeah,
That was
there you
it.
go.
Yeah.
And it was like 60 feet up on a huge
Yeah, it was
rod,
huge.
So it's
75 feet, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. It's fantastical.
The impalement is pretty hardcore.
Yes, it is.
Like,
Yes, it is hardcore.
oof, rough.
So yeah, he was crucified at the gates of Susa with his whole household. Wait, with his whole household?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Apparently, we didn't know that though.
I don't remember his whole. I just thought it was him.
We just thought it was him.
Since the God who prevails over all things has recompensed him quickly.
Recompensed.
Whatever. Him quickly with the deserved judgment. And you will do well to post a copy of this letter publicly in every place, and to allow the Judeans to live in accordance with their own precepts, and to join in helping them in order that they might defend themselves against those who attack in the time of oppression on the 13th day of the 12th month Adar, on that same day. For God, who rules over all things, has made this day to be a joy for his chosen race instead of a day of destruction for them. Now, here's something weird. Now, obviously, I'm going to finish this up in just a moment here. But this is obviously where the name Purim comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this written down here. The word for lot,
It's Purim.
yeah, and then Purim would make it plural, I believe. But here's the weird thing. Pur is an Akkadian word.
Oh.
Yeah. The way in which lots are used, and this is important to note, the way in which lots are used is negative. So why would you name a holiday after like something used to effectively to figure out when you're going to get killed?
I forget where it was when I was flipping through here.
This is...
But it said that the casting of lots wasn't just for reading fortunes. They also would use it for gambling and like coin tosses.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe you're supposed to like gamble and win big money on Purim.
Maybe, but the thing is, the naming convention. It's this is from Thomasino. It's the equivalent to Easter being called Feast of 30 Pieces of Silver.
Hooray!
It's the equivalent to that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is just silly. But because
that's like my favorite holiday, which is a large pine tree with shiny baubles on it.
I love that holiday.
Yeah.
I
love
love
it.
the one with pumpkin carving.
You mean the lit jack-o'-lantern holiday?
Yes.
Everyone's favorite.
Love that.
Oh boy.
That's the best name for a holiday.
Is that the whole edition?
No, there's still a little bit more.
Oh.
But I'm just talking a little bit about Purim. But anyways, since because Pur is an Akkadian word, that's evidence of Purim existing before Esther.
Mm-hmm.
So Esther serves as the etiology for Purim.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm going to finish up the... oh my god, my dad added me on Snapchat.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know.
There goes Snapchat.
I'm going to finish off this edition E. For God, who rules over all things, has made this day to be a joy for his chosen race, instead of a day of destruction for them. Therefore, you shall celebrate this with all good cheer as a holiday among your commemorative feasts, so that both now and hereafter it may be deliverance for us and for the well-disposed Persians. The well-disposed Persians. But for those who plot against us, a memorial of destruction. Every city and country, without exception, that does not do according to this by spear and fire shall be consumed with wrath. It shall be made not only impassable for people, but also most hostile to wild animals and birds for all time.
Even the birds.
I don't know where that last bit came from.
That is weird.
Yeah, that was just out of nowhere.
Yeah, so I think I'm starting to understand the way the authors of the Septuagint saw Purim.
Mm-hmm.
They saw it as the day that they wouldn't be fucked with.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Jews Ain't Nothing to Fuck With is the new hit single by Wu-Tang Clan.
Wow.
What?
He's making a really bad
That is
joke.
a really bad joke.
Whatever. Well, either way, because they won, basically, in the end,
We could start a hip-hop group called Wu-Tang Clan. Be like, that's anti-Semitic. And you're like,
No, it isn't.
really?
just consists of people who are Jewish.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
They
I
could
know.
grow out the curlicues
Yeah.
and wear yarmulkes.
Oh my god, it's horrible.
It's not like that's hard to make one, guys.
No,
It's
it's
also not hard
not.
to get one.
Yeah, they're
Or get. Yeah,
really
Yeah.
common.
In our community around here, oh yeah, real hard.
Pretty
to find
easy,
it.
yeah.
Pretty hard, oh boy.
Yeah, because there are no synagogues around here.
Isn't a population of 30% Jewish or more?
Can-
No, not at all.
Oh,
hit
man.
single like Moses is my homeboy.
But I think
We're on to the next chapter.
since no,
No, we're not.
but since
He's
they,
still in the middle of an edition.
no, I'm done.
No,
with
no,
the
you're done with the
edition
edition? Well, I'm still in the middle of a chapter that the edition was placed in the middle of.
stuff. Yeah.
Ah, crap, you're right.
Do you have anything else to add before
Yeah,
we continue?
it's just because of how that ended.
Yeah.
They just saw that as the day that they won, and they want to remember how they impaled a guy.
Great.
And
That's-
they also added his family.
Very humane.
Yeah, there wasn't that before.
There
That is
wasn't
new.
that before, no.
That's brand new.
And it really makes verse 2 of this chapter meaningless,
Yeah.
where it says, Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. If you killed his family, what did you
Yeah, there's-
set Mordecai over?
Yeah.
Man,
Just the house.
yeah, it's just the house. Everyone there is dead.
It's a nice little home.
There's
blood everywhere, but it's
he
a nice home.
probably already had a house.
Yeah, probably.
This is a white elephant gift. She's like, now you got to move all your stuff.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and that the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the posts that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment. And the decree was given at Shushan the palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel, of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple, and the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light, and gladness, and joy, and honor. And in every...
And run-on sentences.
Yeah,
Yes.
like, damn.
They use commas and ands.
Oh!
Ooh.
That's so much better!
And in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And many of the people...
They had a good day.
Yeah. And many of the people of the land became Jews,
Wow.
for the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
Oh no.
So that's different than now, because Jews don't proselytize, and it's very difficult for someone to convert to Judaism.
The thing is, this wasn't, the way this is described, it's not described as proselytizing. It's described as things were just going so well for the Jews. How could you not believe in their God?
Yeah, okay.
But
That's the end of chapter 8.
yes, it is. And there is a note for the fear of the Jews.
Fear of the Jews.
Yeah. For the fear of the Jews had fallen upon them. This sweeping military triumph of the Jews is not presented in any way as a miracle, but it is clearly another element of fantasy in this fantastic tale. As Adele Berlin, okay, that's her name. As Adele Berlin notes, underlining its carnivalesque genre. Oh yeah, and he has a whole section, Thomasino has a whole section here about it being like something like a carnival genre.
Well,
Carnival.
the way that the Purim is celebrated is kind of
Kinda
like
like
a
that.
carnival.
Yeah. The Jews, after all, were a small minority in the Persian Empire, and the authorization by the emperor for them to take up arms against their assailants does not plausibly mean that they could overwhelm their enemies and strike terror among them. This turnabout, then, is a resolution of the fairy tale plot. The beautiful queen has successfully interceded to save her people. The tables are turned on those who meant to wipe out the Jews, and as the great victory is celebrated, a Jew in royal finery becomes first minister to the king.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Neat.
Yeah, that is neat. But do you hear that mysterious noise coming from out in the distance?
Oh, like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, the like, share, and subscribe noise that goes up in the thing that
Whoop.
Chris has to do.
I hear
Yeah, you hear it.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Wow, that was incredible.
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
Yes, it was. Well, we can hop into chapter 9 then.
Yeah, we can.
Yes,
and
Jesus said some nice stuff.
That's
you
sweet,
can
Lawrence.
read chapter
Yeah, I know.
9.
That is all me. I understand that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, in the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the so this is okay on the same day. They could have just said that. When the king's command and edict were about to be carried out, on the very day when the enemies of the Jews hoped to gain the mastery over them, the reverse occurred. The Jews gained mastery over those who hated them.
What? Wow.
I didn't see that coming in the book that's like ultra pro-Jewish.
Yeah, right. The Jews gathered in their cities throughout all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, King Xerxes, to lay hands on those who sought their harm. Wait, hold on. So, you know, how many people were actually described as being against the Jews? It was Haman, and I don't remember that many other people. In fact,
I think it was just Haman.
And
yeah,
his house.
they had a whole, and his house, I guess.
Which is
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, which is now dead.
If you
at least
follow
according
the
to
edition.
Yeah, at least according to the Septuagint. So it was really just Haman, and upon going up to the king and asking, like when the king was like, "Hey, how do I, reward a great person?" and he, he stupidly says a bunch of stuff he would want, thinking it's about him, and it's not. But then he gives a parade for Mordecai. So obviously, why would... And there wasn't like an attempt on Mordecai's life on the parade, and apparently the parade went well, effectively.
Yeah.
So I don't know who else is against them.
Duh.
It was just Haman. Okay.
Yeah, there wasn't any implication of anyone beyond Haman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's read Harry Potter 10, the one after Voldemort. That one's real interesting, where like the main antagonist is gone and everything's wrapped up already.
It's just like a slice of life.
Yeah, this is the slice of life afterwards.
They're like cooking and they occasionally use magic.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, wow.
What
yeah.
an exciting...
Wow. Barely in the Harry Potter IP anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
So they're all out to kill the people who I guess want to kill them, which is an unexplained they. It's an unknown they. Like conspiracy over here. And no one could stand against them, for the fear of them had fallen on all the peoples. We know. We were already told that. All the officials of the provinces and the satraps and the governors and the royal agents also helped the Jews, for the fear of Mordecai had fallen on them.
It says here, as Berlin aptly notes, you should really read the Berlin, huh? While the populace
Scholar Adele Berlin.
Yeah.
Okay.
While the populace fears the armed weight of the Jews, the high-ranking officials of the imperial bureaucracy fear Mordecai because they see that he has been given extraordinary power in court. This point is underlined in the next words of the test for Mordecai. For great was Mordecai in the house of the king.
Yeah, for Mordecai was great in the king's house.
Yes.
And his fame spread throughout all the provinces. For the man Mordecai grew more and more powerful. The Jews struck all their enemies with the sword, killing and destroying them, and did as they pleased to those who hated them.
Okay, so the man Mordecai, this epithet is unusual, and the writer may have in mind the characterization in Exodus of Israel's great lawgiver as the man Moses.
That would make sense.
Yes.
Epithet.
In Susa, the citadel itself, the Jews had killed and destroyed 500 men, and also killed Parshadatha and Dalphon and Aspatha. Who are those people? Do you have a note for those?
Dalphon and
there's also some more people.
Parshandatha.
There's also some more people here. And Poratha and Adalia and Aridatha and Paramashta and Arisai and Aridai and Vazatha, the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hamadatha, the enemy.
Those are the they.
Yes, these are this list of names here.
So these are Persian names.
Yeah, and they're Haman's kids.
They're Haman's kids. Apparently, Alter thinks that the author just likes using Persian words.
Let's see. So these are Haman's kids. The enemy, Haman, the son of Hamadatha, the enemy of the Jews. But they laid no hand on on the plunder. Good for them. Keeping away, they're not greedy.
So the decree by Mordecai allowed them to take it, but they chose to limit themselves to killing their enemies in self-defense. Berlin proposes that this gesture is a reversal of King Saul's taking spoils from the Amalekites ruled by Agag, Haman's putative ancestor.
What verse is that specifically? That's 8
10.
through. That's 8 through 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Maybe we can have. Maybe Tomasino has something on that. You can probably look for anything there. All right. Let's continue. That very day, the number of those killed in Susa the citadel was reported to the king, and the king.
Oh, great. The names. The first name, Parshandatha,
Yes.
sets the tone. It looks and sounds very similar to the noun Parsidona, which occurs only in Judges 3:22, where it apparently means excrement. The name Dalphon looks similar to the Hebrew word delep, which means an annoying dripping. Porata sounds very similar to the Aramaic word parta, dung. Ardatha and Aridai could both be plays on a road, mule. The name Parmastha might well be a play on the Aramaic Parmastak, penis.
Yeah. So,
This is great.
Let me get this straight. He just made the Persian versions of a bunch of profane words for their names.
Well,
Yeah,
Yes.
and then Dick walked in and his friend shithead and fuck that guy. Basically, is what he's saying here.
yeah.
That's pretty good. I'm liking Esther. This is great.
It says here also on refusing to take plunder, it eliminates any appearance that the Jews were driven by greed. Thus, it makes it look like they have the morally high ground.
Oh, yeah.
No,
But-
that story does not make them look
No,
like
not
that.
at all.
But more important, it demonstrates that they're carrying out the requirements of Harem, the ban. When Saul was given orders to destroy the Amalekites utterly, he was also forbidden to take any of their property as spoil, 1 Samuel 15:3. All their goods were to be placed under the ban, destroyed completely. Saul failed to carry out those instructions, and as a result, God declared that he would deprive him of his throne. Mordecai had nearly repeated Saul's mistake by issuing a decree that allowed the Jews to take the spoils of their enemies. The Jewish people, however, resisted the temptation to prosper from the treasures of the wicked. Apparently, everything was destroyed or it became property of the state. Though the text says nothing about the killing of women and children, Mordecai's edict gave the Jews the right to do so. The text makes special note that the Jews departed from the express words of the decree by taking no spoils, but it says nothing about them not killing women and children. We should assume, then, that they did. Indeed, we might well assume that some of Haman's 10 sons were still children when they were killed. There is no indication in the text that Haman is an old man, and in those days, a man would continue to father children as long as he was able.
Huh. That's a thing that didn't happen because this is fiction.
Fucking brutal, man.
Yeah. But I could totally see how people came to the idea that this was a comedy, because that's hilarious with the
Those names.
That's
yeah.
so
Oh my
fucking
gosh.
funny.
And a bunch of profane names in your language to tell you how stupid your kids
That's
are.
clever.
Yeah.
So anyways. And the king said to Queen Esther, in Susa, the citadel, the Jews have killed and destroyed 500 men and also the 10 sons of Haman. What then have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now, what is your wish? It shall be granted you. And what further is your request? It shall be fulfilled. And Esther said, if it please the king, let the Jews who are in Susa be allowed tomorrow also to do according to this day's edict. And let the 10 sons of Haman be hanged on the gallows.
Oh, great. They're just
Weren't
kids.
they just killed?
Aren't they just kids?
It says
They were-
the narrative logic of this request is not altogether evident,
Yeah.
because after the 500 killed in the killing of Haman's 10 sons, it's not terribly likely that there would be further attacks on the Jews in the capital.
Yeah.
Some-
Especially since they already said that they went up against everybody and they killed everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that can't be everybody.
Some
There's
scholars
more
have
people.
proposed that the rationale for this request is ideological to provide an explanation for the fact that this new carnivalesque holiday was in some places celebrated for 2 days.
Wow.
Okay. Interesting. So, the king commanded this to be done. A decree was issued in Susa, and the 10 sons of Haman were hanged, after they were already dead. The Jews who were in Susa gathered also on the 14th day of the month of Adar.
It says this is an indication that impalement often followed executions as a means of humiliating the dead by exposing their bodies.
Okay.
Okay, that actually makes sense. That's, there's, what else are you going to do with it, I guess?
Throw it away?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing they do with it. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, let's watch it rot on a stick, I guess.
Great entertainment.
Yeah.
It's like watching paint dry.
Well, they don't have that.
You're right,
Or
they don't have
TV
paint.
Or anything, they just have.
I'm sure they have games of some
Yeah,
sort.
Watch Jim rot, because we impaled him on a stick.
Great game.
Great game.
Woohoo.
I catch the annual Watch Jim Rot because we impaled him on a stick games each year.
It's gotta be some major hit.
The
Pay-per-view.
summer ones last year were great.
All right.
Anyways, so the Jews who were in Susa gathered also on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and they killed 300 men in Susa, but they laid no hands on the plunder.
Okay.
So that's 500 total people, 510.
Yeah.
Or sorry, that actually in total it'd be 800. 810. The thing is, yeah, we were already told that everyone was standing against it was killed the first day.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now the rest of the Jews who were in the king's provinces also gathered to defend their lives. Really? I think they're doing okay for now. And got relief from their enemies and killed 75,000 of those who hated them.
Never mind.
Now the number of fallen enemies moves to the kind of hyperbolic scale one would expect in ancient narrative.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, we killed like 7 guys. You mean 70,000 guys?
Yeah.
So
no.
you nuked like
Yeah.
a
Yeah, you knew.
region?
So they killed 75,000 of those who hated them, but they laid no hands on the plunder. This was on the... Wait, hold on. This was on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th day they rested and made that a day of feasting and gladness. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
So, I know that was disgusting, I just don't care.
I don't think anybody
Yeah.
heard it. It's specifically on this.
Whatever. So it said that on the 13th day, that was the first day of it, right?
Mm.
They killed 500.
Yes.
And then we were told that on the 14th day, they killed 300.
Mm.
But now we're told that on the 13th day, they killed 75,000.
Correct.
And on the 14th day, they rested.
Yeah. Numbers aren't real.
Numbers aren't real.
Does anyone note this? Is that anywhere in that or this
just
about this
says
contradiction?
Numbers aren't real. It says so right here.
Scale.
But it completely contradicts what we just read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's fucking thing's dying again. Who's
I got 3 bars.
I also got 3 bars, but
That's nice. One of you doesn't have batteries right now.
I am.
One of you is not connected. I can't tell you which
I'm
one.
number 3.
That doesn't mean anything anymore. Those numbers are meaningless.
Oh. Well, okay.
They've been rearranged too many times.
Gotcha.
Out of panic and failure to do stuff. It's fine. I just switched batteries.
Okay. Anyways. Where was I? The contradiction? Okay. They made that day a day of feasting and gladness, but the Jews who were in Susa gathered on the third. Oh, I see. Okay. This is happening in 2 different places.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, this is Susa. That's totally different.
Okay. But the Jews who were in Susa gathered on the 13th day and on the 14th and rested on the 15th day, making that a day of feasting and gladness.
Oh.
Okay, so there are 2 different places. So one's outside of Susa. It was 75,000.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And the one's
That's a-
inside was different. Okay.
It's a very big number increase, don't you think?
And, okay, making that day a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore, the Jews of the villages who live in the rural towns hold the 14th day on the month of Adar as a day for feasting and gladness, as a holiday, and as a day on which they send gifts of food to one another. That's nice.
Nice.
Great. Is that the end of chapter 9?
No, but I'm coughing.
Great.
Yeah, I'm still getting over that cold, but at least I'm not completely.
You sound pretty normal.
Yeah, I'm not completely destroyed.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
so bad. You were so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my god.
And Mordecai recorded these things. I'm sure he didn't. And sent letters to all the Jews who were in all the provinces of King Xerxes.
It says the preoccupation of this narrative with sending written documents as the instrument for carrying out policy continues to the end of the story.
Wow.
One should note that this verse initiates a sprawling run-on sentence that goes all the way to the end of verse 23.
Wait, really? Oh my God.
This is an especially egregious example of the syntactic looseness of this book's Hebrew style.
And you're telling me I'm having a hard time reading this, and I'm like, yeah, because it's a run-on sentence for a year.
Fine, Chris. Calm down.
What? Oh, it's
Anyways.
funny. Go ahead. Good luck. Good luck.
Okay, so yeah, who were in all the provinces of King Xerxes, both near and far, obliging them to keep the 14th day of the month Adar, and also the 15th day of the same, year by year, as the days on which the Jews got relief from their enemies, and as the month that had been turned for them from sorrow into gladness, and from mourning into a holiday, that they should make them days of feasting and gladness, days for sending gifts of food to one another, and gifts to the poor. So the Jews accepted what they had started to do, and what Mordecai had written to them. For Haman the Agagite, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of all the Jews, had plotted against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast pur, that is, cast lots, to crush and to destroy them. But when it came before the king,
It says here, when she came before the king, the reference of she would be Esther. Some interpreters read this as it. Hebrew has no neutral pronouns, referring to Haman's plot or news of his plot. But that construction is problematic because there's no noun in the preceding sentence, feminine or otherwise, that could serve as an antecedent to the proposed it.
So it's probably she?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so when it came before the king, he gave orders in writing that his evil plan, that he had devised against the Jews should return on his own head. That he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Therefore, they called these days Purim, after the term Pur. Therefore, because of all that was written in this letter, and of what they had faced in the matter, I feel like this entire section could have either been left out or just could have been the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just, maybe add a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What verse are you on now?
20. I'm just about to be at 27.
Okay.
So yeah, they called it Purim after the term Pur. Therefore, because of all that was written in this letter, and of what they had faced in this matter, and of what had happened to them, the Jews firmly obligated themselves and their offspring, and all who joined them, that without fail they would keep these 2 days according to what was written, and at the time appointed every year, that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, in every clan, province, and city, and that these days of Purim should never fall into disuse among the Jews, nor should the commemoration of these days cease among their descendants. So, if I have this right, now this was from Thomasino, and you can talk about this a little probably.
Mm-hmm.
So this was supposed to be universally read at Purim, and this, and in fact, the things that had to be universally read was each of the 5 megaloth, and they were read at different festivals. Mm-hmm. And the megaloth consisted of, fastidious books and passages and stuff.
I'm not sure about this. This whole section, when they're talking about like the Jews fixed it and accepted it, and so did all those who joined them, and Purim should not pass away from the midst of the Jews. So this is like, according to Alter, legalistic. It says the Jews enter into a binding agreement that they will scrupulously observe the terms of their new holiday. The writer is treading on dangerous ground because he is arguing for the legitimacy of a holiday that has no warrant among the sundry festivals listed in the Torah. Consequently, he wants to make it clear that there is national consent for all the conditions of this newly minted holiday. One might note that no religious justification is given for the holiday. It is not commanded by God, but instituted to commemorate the people's victory over those who sought to destroy it. Also, it says here, for all those who join them, though some see these as the Persians who passed as Jews, it is more likely that the expression refers to fellow travelers of the Jews, Judaizing foreigners who are probably not quite formal converts. The anonymous prophet of the return to Zion from Isaiah 56:3 and 6 uses the same verb in the same sense. Yes.
Could you hand me the Old Testament survey?
Yes.
There you go. I'm going to finish up this chapter and then I'm going to pull something up here. Then Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew gave full written authority, confirming this second letter about Purim. Letters were sent to all the Jews, to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Xerxes, in words of peace and truth. I don't think that's very peaceful, because all the stuff we just read.
Yeah.
This is the literal sense of the Hebrew words of peace and truth, a collocation that occurs a few times elsewhere. It may well be a hendiadys, meaning something like true peace after all the violence. Real peace would be welcome.
The greater good.
Oh my God.
The greater good.
That these days of Purim should be observed at their appointed seasons, as Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther obligated them, and as they had obligated themselves and their offspring, with regard to their fasts and their lamenting. The command of Queen Esther confirmed these practices of Purim, and it was recorded in writing. Doubt it.
Is that the end of chapter 9?
That is the end of chapter 9.
Hey, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like or a dislike, a subscription, buy our wacky and fun t-shirts on Teespring, Patreon.
Oh, we got a new shirt.
Oh, we
I
got a
saw
new
that.
shirt.
That looked cool.
Yeah. Hashtag blame the Bible.
Hashtag
Finally.
blame the Bible.
Wow,
Yeah,
we
new
needed
shirt on
that a while
Teespring.
ago.
Yeah. Go check it out. Go buy yourself one. Buy
Your
your
friends one.
friends.
Buy the people that didn't blame the Bible one.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
didn't
buy-
have a hashtag. They're unrepresented right now.
Exactly.
All right.
Do that.
And Lawrence, do you have the additions at the end of this one
I do,
on
yes.
your phone?
Yes.
You
Okay.
ready for these 3 lines, folks? Here
Th-
they come.
These are going to be the best 3 lines you've ever heard.
Oh, man. Chapter 10.
Chapter 10. And the king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and of his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai, whereunto the king advanced him. Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia?
Oh,
Man,
different
that's
kings.
totally different. Damn it.
Yep.
Different kings. Yeah, had us going there.
Man, I was so excited.
For the Mordecai the Jew
Wow.
was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed.
What a
So,
great chapter.
That was...
Traditionally, the end of
Yes.
Esther.
That was
But now, we have the wording of the Are They Not Written? The wording of this entire voice pointedly imitates the recurrent formula in the Book of Kings, where it refers
Right.
to one of 2 actual sets of annals, those of the kings of Judah and Israel, respectively. This is an effort to impart an effect of authentic history to a narrative that's actually woven of fantastic invention.
That happened in Ezra and Nehemiah, too. If you remember, like, he's talking about all these documents to give himself authority. Like, look how close I am to this shit, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So here, I have it open for you. And I also have some notes on, this is from the Old Testament survey, some notes on the origins of Purim.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So is this Esther's F or whatever now?
Here is F, and it's just this right here.
Just
That's
this
all that there is,
paragraph?
F, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
F.
this is the Septuagint edition F.
It is an epilogue.
Yes.
And Mardochaios said,
That's Mordecai, obviously.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mordecai
Yeah.
said, from God these things have come.
Yeah, remember in the very first edition, it was a dream. It was a vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the Septuagint version, this entire thing has been a vision. So...
Great.
None of it still happened yet in the Septuagint version? What the hell?
For I remember about the dream that I saw concerning these matters, for not even a word of them has failed to be fulfilled. There was the little spring that became a river, and there was light in the sun and abundant water. Esther is the river.
No, I'm
Whom
sorry.
the-
I have to correct myself. Yeah, it was. He was talking about this, the dream, and now then all this stuff happened, and he's talking about how the dream was fulfilled.
Yes.
Okay, so
Gotta
it's
correct
prophecy fulfillment, everyone. He's
Yeah.
a real prophet.
All in the same book.
So
mistake.
How great is that?
he's interpreting his dream retroactively. now.
Really?
Esther is the river whom the king married and made queen. The 2 dragons are I myself and Haman. The nations are those that gathered to destroy the name of the Judeans. And my nation, this is Israel, who cried out to God and were saved. The Lord has saved his people, and the Lord has rescued us from all these evils, and God has done signs and great wonders that have not happened among the nations. For this purpose he made 2 lots, one for the people of God and one for all the other nations. And these 2 lots came to the hour and the right time and to the day of decision before God. and for all the nations. And God remembered his people and vindicated his own inheritance. And these days in the month of Adar, on the 14th and 15th of that same month, will be observed by them with a gathering and joy and rejoicing before God, from generation to generation forever among his people Israel. In the 4th year of the reign of Ptolemy and Cleopatra, Dositheus, who said he was a priest and a Levite, and Ptolemy, his son.
Ptolemy. Just Ptolemy. You don't have to pronounce the P.
Yeah.
You don't have to pronounce the P.
Yeah, that's a silent P.
Yeah, it's a silent Q and a silent S and a silent
He's
L
right.
and
He's right, though. It's just
ridiculous.
Ptolemy and Ptolemaic stuff.
Ridiculous.
But it's true.
They shouldn't write it that way then.
Well, you should know that with a K.
Okay. His son brought above the letter about Hrorai, because it's not Frorai, because P's are silent now,
That's right.
which they said existed. And Lysimachus, son of Ptolemy, one of those in Jerusalem, probably Jerusalem,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna
translated it.
So the this actually, before I talk about Purim, and to answer Jonah's questions, I have no idea, man. I don't know what to tell you. I do want to do more research into Esther, so maybe at some point in the future I'll have a concrete answer for you.
Did David fight against the same group of people that Haman was descended from?
Well, so remember Saul? Did he? Well, he fought against Saul.
He
had
fought
his-
against Saul, but the
and he
reason that they
was-
brought up Saul in the commentary was because Saul had also fought against the people from whom Haman descended.
No. It was because Saul was from the Agagites.
Haman.
I don't fucking remember anymore.
Oh,
It
wow.
all kind of goes together.
Saul
What's the
was
other-
an
This is
Agagite.
a bit longer than we thought it would be for a chapter with 3 lines.
Well, we
I know,
all said
I
other
know
stuff.
there was additions, but still, it's a good episode so far. All right. Are we
Sorry,
all wrapped up?
I don't know. I forget.
That's
all
your
the-
$1 million answer, that Saul was an Agagite?
No, it's not. I don't fucking remember anymore, man.
Oof. Well, do you have
Anyways,
anything to say?
Yes. On this, the very last thing that you read
Yes.
about in the 4th year of the reign of Ptolemy and Cleopatra. So Moore writes, this is unquestionably the most important verse in the entire Greek version of Esther. Bickerman demonstrated that such colophons were often appended to the ends of Greek books when they were added to royal libraries, such as the one in Alexandria in Egypt. Frequently, they included grammatical notes or references to the scribes who had produced the texts, but in cases where the authenticity of a text might be in doubt, colophons could be added to assure the pedigree of the manuscript. Such colophons could, of course, be forged, and yet some scholars have argued against the authenticity of Esther's. Yet, there seems little reason to reject these lines out of hand. The dates and personages named are not inherently improbable. Furthermore, the careful wording of the reported claims, quote, said he was a priest, they said it was authentic, sounds like the reluctant concession of a minor official striving to maintain a position of plausible deniability.
One behold today.
Yeah,
And
sadly.
I know everyone's disappointed.
There's also some stuff on Purim
Oh, yay.
that I wanted to cover here.
Okay.
So the Book of Esther is the word he uses is a Festlegende. Now I don't know if that's what language that's originally supposed to be in, if that's
Sounds Italian.
Italian or
something.
Latin
Yeah,
or-
Latin, maybe.
I don't fucking know. But it's an etiology. Let's see, a festival probably originally celebrated in the Eastern diaspora and slowly accepted in Judea. It is evidently not among the festivals celebrated among the scrolls of Qumran, which is true. Not it doesn't show up anywhere in Qumran. It is possible that Purim is a Jewish adaptation of a Persian festival, its connection with the story of Esther only secondary. However, the present book's intimate connection with the festival was probably the reason why it was ultimately allowed into the canon, unlike the very similar Book of Judith.
I theorize that Christianity has done this many times with many foreign aspects of hey, this is a time when we celebrate a thing. Let's just say we do that too.
I mean, that's happened
a lot. Yeah.
As Patton states, it is connected in the closest way with the Feast of Purim, and if the events here narrated did not create the feast, then the feast probably created the story. Therefore, an investigation into the origins of Purim is warranted. Only two possibilities exist for the origins of Purim. The first, that its origins lie in the post-exilic Judaism. The second is that it is an originally pagan festival adapted by the Jews. These commentators who suspect a Jewish origin for Purim have searched throughout the known persecutions of Jews in the Hellenistic period to find a suitable antecedent. The most convincing argument, first put forth by Michaelis, holds that Purim was founded to commemorate the victory of Judas Maccabeus over Nicanor on 13 Adar, the 13th of Adar, 161 BCE. That does not sound right. This argument, however, fails in several points. The Book of Esther calls for the observance of Purim on the 14th and 15th of Adar, not on the 13th. It kind of also says it on the 13th. Second, Maccabees, 1536, which calls the 14th of Adar the day of Mordecai, carefully distinguishes it from the 13th, the day of Nicanor. The later rabbis, the Jewish sages, who, beginning in the 2nd century, produced commentaries on the book on the books of the Hebrew Bible, make the same distinction. Further, this identification, like all identifications with Jewish historical events, founders on the same rock. Purim is a feast whose character is essentially secular. Finally, the word Purim has no satisfactory Hebrew etymology. It appears to be a Hebrew corruption of either an original Aramaic form Puraya or the Babylonian Puru, meaning fate or lot. It seems best, therefore, to seek the origins of Purim in a Persian or Babylonian celebration. If Purim does have a foreign origin, then the Esther/Mordecai tale is easily explained as a justification for it. It is possible that the festival was originally a Persian feast, possibly the Spring New Year, adopted by the Jews of Susa, that later spread to the rest of the Jewish community.
Yeah, I found most of these happen to be different subcultures and cultures' versions of New Year's or local deity celebrations that just suddenly get incorporated into these massive religions.
It's just kind of, it becomes like, it goes from one religious thing to a cultural thing to another religious thing. It kind of gets transferred that way.
Yeah, it got a
like
kind
Christmas.
of double transformation.
Yeah, it's like a religious STD.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. And it's cross-platform. It can go from culture to
culture,
oh
yep.
My God.
Oh, my.
Oh, wow.
Cross-cultural.
Yeah, we do think of ideas as kind of viral as well.
They're
so
memes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes. So there you go. That's a bad meme.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed. Don't fall for it.
Yes. So possibly the Spring New Year, adopted by the Jews of Susa, that later spread to the rest of the Jewish community. Purim may also be connected to the Babylonian New Year festival, which, however, was celebrated in Nisan, not Adar. All speculations on this subject run aground on the fact that we know very little about the Eastern diaspora in the Persian pyramid. More rightly declares, scholars have suggested much but proven very little about the probable origins of the festival of Purim. In the end, a Persian origin for the festival seems most likely, with the tale of Esther and Mordecai added to bring it into the Jewish orbit.
Well, that's the end of Esther. And so what are your closing thoughts on Esther?
You know, I liked it.
It is a much better book than the last few books that we've read.
And the thing is it's not that I disliked those add-ons for the historical reasons, but if we didn't have the add-ons, standalone as a secular story, I felt like it was fine.
Yeah.
There were lots of stories that were in this book that I was like, well, this is stupid and unrealistic, and they're taking it seriously. Yeah. But Esther this is stupid and unrealistic, and they're not taking it seriously, per se.
And it was fun. I thought it was some good fun.
Yeah. I think that it's a much better written book.
Currently my favorite chapter, or section.
I think that, like, they did well in moving away from the large-scale wartime events and more into, like, the small-scale political intrigue within the court system.
Yeah.
Or even just like pleas to the kings and queens all the time, because that seemed to be a pretty common thing that came up there. Is, hey, I'm begging to the authority now. Always.
Yeah.
So. All right.
So next week we will be starting Aaron Ra's favorite book of the Bible.
Oh my God.
The Book of Job.
It's not his favorite book. It's a book that he used to say a lot of stuff wrong about it.
Oh.
But then he was incessantly corrected by me and Chris Hansen. Mostly Chris Hansen. So he, after being pointed out where he's gotten this stuff wrong, I think he stopped calling it the oldest book in the Bible. It's not the oldest book in the Bible. That would be probably like Hosea or Amos or something, which we will get to.
Well, we're not going to go into the history of Job right now.
No.
We might have some videos on it coming out in tandem. It does seem like a good idea once you get Lilith and everything done, so,
Job is 42 chapters long.
It's quite long.
We'll probably finish it in, like, between 10 and 15 episodes tops, I would think. And then we're going to start our second weekly show, which, if you enjoy this show, you'll definitely enjoy...
We're starting that sometime soon.
During Psalms is when we're going to start.
Yeah,
so that's after Job.
So,
so while we're doing this boring book like Psalms,
we could start prepping.
We could just have something entertaining.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right.
While we're doing poetry, because Lawrence has no appreciation for poetry, we can also cover prose.
Yeah. And we're probably going to have Chris Hansen on for quite a lot of Job.
Okay.
I'll talk to him about that.
Maybe we could get Eric on. He said that he would like to talk about Job.
Oh, that would be so great.
Chris Hansen and
Eric and Chris Hansen, that'd be fantastic.
It would be quite good.
I would just sit back and relax and let them do their thing.
Yeah.
All right.
We need to make it happen.
We do. I haven't seen Eric on campus.
He's got to be somewhere. You can check in front of the library. You can check in the courtyard. You can check in that street, like right in front of the business school. You can check at the street corner by the Union. Sometimes he's down the street by the EMS building.
Okay.
He has like 6 locations. He's right.
Yeah, he has like 6 locations that he goes to
I'm consistently outside. I'm consistently next to the library. And I have not seen him there.
Sometimes he'll be in the Union. I know he's been meeting people around the cafeteria lately.
Also, I have his phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we also have his phone number.
Yeah. So I think that'd be cool to have him on the show with Chris Hansen and talk about Job. That's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah.
So the beautiful destruction of Eric. So let's.
I mean, hopefully he can hold his own on something in there.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know.
He could get stammered. He can really get stammered.
Well, he did go to history school.
Yeah, that's something that's really weird to me. Like he has a degree in history.
Talk about it later.
But he was an atheist back then.
I know.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Back then? Okay. But he hasn't like kept anything from like how to do history. He like forgot how to do history.
Well, I mean, he knows a lot about like the 20th century.
Alrighty then.
Sure.
So
we're wrapping it up for today.
Yep, that's
that is the end of the show today. It was
that's the end of the show.
Decently length show. I think we had some fun.
Yeah.
So everybody, let's see, Twitter, at MKE Atheists, Facebook, Milwaukee
Amazon
Atheists.
wish list.
Amazon wish list, yes, link in the description. Also, if you want to throw some money over here, that'd be cool too, to our alchemy drive.
Yeah.
But, we'll talk about
We're
it.
trying to make gold, but only after we get the 666.
Yeah.
Once we figure it out, then we won't need any more donations.
Yeah, that's true. And let's see what else is there. MilwaukeeAtheist.com, Sherm Journal.
Yep.
New T-shirt.
Yeah, new T-shirt. All the T-shirts on Teespring. I think that's everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why don't you point at the middle of the screen?
So we will see
you
you
next
next Sunday.